Hey everyone, Richard Phillips back at you with some more modern action. Today I'm playing something that I've had a lot of fun with since M19 has come online. This is Grixis Control, very similar to the version that Corey Burkhart played at the last Modern Pro Tour. I'll link in the description the deck tech that he did for this. It's incredible and explains the card choices for Modern Grixis Control a lot better than I can. And the main deck is almost exactly what he was playing, with the exception of one fewer Kolaghan's Command, one fewer Pian Nalar, and two Nicol Bolas the Ravager. This card has been incredibly impressive in both Standard and also in Modern as I've tested him. In this deck, he doesn't flip very often, but what he is a real threat that flies, that's hard for the opponent to remove, that also can generate advantage when brought into play, making your opponent discard a card. And one of the things that this deck does really well is kind of attritioning your opponent out of threats, either by killing them or countering them, and putting your opponent really on the back foot. And Nicol Bolas is a real good way to slam the door. Between that and Tassiger, this deck is a little bit quicker than previous iterations of the deck that had the 4 Cryptic Command, 4 Kolaghan's Command. This version only has 3 Kolaghan's Commands because of that. I'm unsure if that cut is correct. I'm pretty sure the Pian Nalar cut is correct, but I'm not sure about the Kolaghan's Command one. It easily could be maybe getting rid of some of these Inquisitions or possibly even some other of the counter spells. Other thing with the lands is that Corey Burkhart was a big fan of the 4 Field of Ruins, and I was testing that, but I wanted a 4th island to get off of the Field of Ruin, because at a certain point in the game, I was Field of Ruining the opponent and not having any basics left. So we're playing one more basic and one fewer fetch. Moving on to the sideboard, we're playing a couple of cards from M19 that shore up real weaknesses with the deck. The first is Infernal Reckoning. This card is incredible against Eldrazi, which is one of the tougher matchups for the Grixis control deck. Also really good against Tron if they're trying to put out cards like Wormcoil Engine. This is an excellent answer to Wormcoil Engine that the deck really doesn't have outside of this. Another card that we're going to be playing today is 2 copies of Alpine Moon for the Tron matchup and the Valakut matchup, both of which are not good matchups for this deck. And hopefully the inclusion of some of these new cards will help out in those matchups. We're playing a few more Wraths than usual, playing 3 Angers of the Gods instead of 2 and a Damnation. This is to hedge against humans and some other decks like that. I think it's correct, and I've liked it so far in testing. We have a couple more counter magic, some Liliana's Defeat to get rid of Liliana Planeswalkers, as well as Black Permanents, which are very prevalent on Magic Online right now. Staticaster for Mardu and some other matchups, and a couple of Nihil Spell Bombs to round out our Graveyard Hate. And with that, guys, we'll jump into a league. Make sure you watch Corey Burkhart talk about the deck because he does a better job than I do. And I'm not a Grixis master, nothing like Corey Burkhart, so bear with me. I'll probably make a few mistakes, but hopefully we'll come out with a winning record and have some fun with Nicol Bolas. And I'll see you guys at the beginning of round 1. All right, everyone, welcome to round number 1. Actually, I guess we'll just minimize that. I have a big screen here. We lost the die roll, so we will be on the draw. It took about 2 minutes to match, which is really long for especially Modern on Magic Online. All right, so this hand is really great, actually. It's got interaction plus a Search for Escanta, which is almost exactly what we're looking for. Opponent might be playing Burn here. Valakut. All right, so Valakut. So this is not a good matchup for us. Snapcaster Mage, I guess, is fine. We'll probably just get blue-black with this, and we don't want to draw any more lands, so we're gonna fetch with that. All right, and what's this? Suspending another search for tomorrow. Okay, so we'll get blue-black with this land. No, pass the turn. All right, logic not. So that means that we can counter squall the Search for Terror coming off suspend. I don't really know if that's exactly what we want to be doing, though. I think probably we just want to Search for Escanta and then logic not and counter squall all of their threats. I think tentatively that's what we're going to go for here. So we'll go ahead and we'll play our red source because we're going to need it at some point probably. And then we're going to put pretty much everything in the graveyard that's not a counter spell or a clock. Okay, so the opponent explores and then plays a Secure Tri-Builder. Okay. So counterspell or removal. Yeah, we'll put Watery Grave into our graveyard because we might still draw lands even on top of that. Another Snapcaster Mage. All right. Probably just play the island here and pass the turn. We'll see what our opponent does, but we're not in a good spot here at all. We're just going to let the Search for Tomorrow resolve. So our opponent has 4 mountains. Once they get 2 more, the Valakut will be turned on. So we need to find Field of Ruins. Okay, the opponent can attack us for 1 here. That's fine. All right, and they're just going to pass the turn. So I think here we're actually going to go ahead and just flash in a Snapcaster Mage because we want to start pressuring our opponent. And we have 2 of them. Cryptic Command. That's a counterspell, so we'll not put that in the graveyard. And we'll put our opponent on a clock here. Opponent wants to bolt it. That's fine. Yep. Okay, so the opponent bolts the Snapcaster Mage. That's fine. All right, this we're going to Cryptic Command. We're going to counter it and draw a card because that uses our mana most effectively. All right, we drew a bolt. All right, so now we do want lands. So we'll see what we mill here, if anything. Thought Scour. I think we'd rather just have a random card than a Thought Scour. All right, we drew another Snapcaster Mage, which isn't great. So we'll just pass the turn and hope to flip the Azcanta next turn. If our opponent does nothing, we'll probably bolt them and then snap Thought Scour them. Or Thought Scour us to try to flip the Azcanta next turn. Chandra Flamecaller. All right, that one we're just going to counter Squall. All right, and then I think here we're actually just going to go ahead and cast a Fatal Push on it because that will guarantee a flip of the Search for Azcanta for next turn, which is kind of what we want. Bolt into the graveyard. Yes. Yes, we'd love to transform it. All right, we drew a Creeping Tar Pit, which is a clock, so that's good. And we'll just pass the turn here. Opponent just has 1 card in hand. All right, so the opponent is going to pass here. I think what we want to do here is just snap bolt our opponent. To try to put our opponent on a real clock. So now the opponent's at 11. We have bolt, snap, bolt in our hand. All right, so we'll attack our opponent here for just 2 because we don't have the mana to bolt, snap, bolt our opponent here. All right, our opponent just bolts the Snapcaster Mage. That's fine. We will just go ahead and cast a Tasigur, exiling a bunch of cards that we don't need and holding up Logic Knot plus Snapcaster Mage of something if we need to. Okay, so our opponent will now deal 3 damage, which is fine. So we're at 12. And it doesn't look like our opponent has anything here, which is good. So now we'll just bolt, snap, bolt them, or bolt them here. And then we can snap, bolt them next turn. So bolt them there. We will take a cryptic command, I guess. All right, there's K command. We only still have the one red source, which is really awkward. So 7 damage is not 8. So we'll just attack them for 4 and then hope that we can get there with our cryptic command and logic knots. All right, perfect. So moving to sideboard here, Alpine Moon is great in this matchup. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to try it out. We do like Disdainful Stroke. Pia and Kira is a clock, I guess. So these 4 are definite considerations. In addition, Dispel is not literally the worst. It's not great, but it's not awful. Cards I don't like in this matchup include Fatal Push. I don't think Fatal Push is good at all. I don't like Colligan's command very much. 2 of them are probably fine, but there's not really any targets to kill with them. It's basically just discard and return something is all the modes are on it. And I think that we just want to draw 1. We don't want to draw like more than 1, if that makes sense. Bolt isn't great in the matchup, and neither is Terminate. I'm not sure which one's worse. I think Terminate probably has some utility, but we still have cryptic commands to actually get rid of things once they hit the battlefield. And our goal is hopefully to not have anything hit the battlefield. So maybe we'll cut 1 Terminate and 1 Bolt. Bolt gives us some reach, which is why I like keeping Bolt in. Trying to see if there's anything else that's not good in this matchup. No, I think I like everything else. So we'll keep it with 3 bolts for reach. All right, what does this hand do? Not much. This one we're going to mulligan. All right, this hand's fine. It's got multiple logic knots, so I think we're okay keeping that. Island. Yeah, we're going to be in the market for another land at some point, so might as well keep it on top. All right, we'll just play our Polluted Delta and pass. So this gives us the options. We'll most likely fetch blue-red here. Okay, search for tomorrow on a relic. That's fine. So we'll get Steam Vents here. We'll play that tapped. All right, so Relic is very good for our opponent here. It just so happens that we have a double Logic Knot hand, which is always really awkward in the face of that. But at least we'll be able to cast it for 1, I guess, at certain points. Also, we can see if our opponent uses their Relic correctly. So, like here, I mean, we might as well try it. We'll see what happens. So we'll fetch here. See if our opponent activates. So our opponent did not activate Relic, so that means that we'll actually be able to use one of these Logic Knots on the Search for Tomorrow, which is what I'm most excited about. So we'll counter unless they pay 1, and our opponent could have easily avoided that with the proper usage of the Relic. So now our opponent will eat the Logic Knot, which is fine. We already did what we wanted to do with it. All right, so Tasigur is being shut down by the Relic. We'll let this Search for Tomorrow resolve. The only reason I Logic Knotted the other one is because I wanted to see if our opponent was playing correctly with their Relic. I don't think they'll make the same mistake again. So this Logic Knot's basically just going to be a counter unless you pay 1 type deal. Sure. The opponent may explore. Sakura Tribe Elder. Sure. Opponent can have a Steve-O. All right, and we'll just pass the turn because we don't have anything to do here. All right, there's a Field of Ruin. That's a great draw. So we'll play the Field of Ruin and pass the turn. So now we have Logic Knot up for 2. Our opponent most likely will crack the Relic here at the end of the turn because they look like they need cards. No? Just going to leave it in play. Okay. It's fine for both of us. I think we're just going to bolt our opponent here. Nicol Bolas, interesting. I think if our opponent ever goes down to 1 card in hand, we'll probably slam the Nicol Bolas, but until that point, I think we're fine just hanging back here. We have double counterspell. So here we can Snapcaster, bolt our opponent, but that doesn't seem very good either, because then we'd run out of mana to counter something big our opponent has. So our hope here is that they go down to 1 card in hand by trying to slam something like a... No, they don't. Okay. And Snapcaster Mage is not a very good blocker on this board either, which is a little unfortunate. All right, we drew another bolt. So I think we're still just going to continue to hang out here. Search for tomorrow. Okay, that's fine. Our opponent can search for tomorrow. All right, and then at the end of the turn, I think we'll just go ahead and bolt our opponent again. All right, there's a Scalding Tarn, which is great. We're looking for lands. And we finally found one, which is good. All right, so we're going to go ahead here and get Island. And then we're going to go cast Snapcaster Mage. If our opponent wants to pop the Relic, yeah, there we go, pop the Relic. Sure. All right, so now we have the Relic that we don't have to worry about, which is pretty good. We get really punished if our opponent has exactly Scape Shift here, but that's fine. We weren't going to be able to counter Scape Shift anyway with the Steve in play. So we can counter something for 1 or something with converted mana cost 4 or greater. Okay, and there's Scape Shift, so we just die. All right, so for game 3, we know our opponent's bringing in Relic. Does that mean we want to change anything about how we boarded? Not really. Yeah, I think we'll just submit like that. All right, we'd love to play first. This hand is just no good. This hand's not great either, but it's going to have to be something we keep. All right, Lightning Bolt. We will bottom the bolt. That doesn't do anything, really. We'll just play Island, I guess. I'm not sure what we want to get with this Polluted Delta. I don't really see us needing double black in this matchup quite yet. All right, so there's a Relic, so we'll just Thought Scour ourselves now. All right, Terminate's really bad. Let's hope to draw some sort of card like Search for Escanta would be ideal. All right, Steam Vents is not ideal. Sure, the opponent can Farseek. We're going to get blue-black here. All right, there's a Snapcaster Mage. So we can Snapcaster Scour or something like that, which probably isn't the worst play in the world. We could probably do it main phase, actually, so the opponent can't use the Relic. Just because we're so far behind on cards right now. Okay, we'll exile a Polluted Delta from our graveyard. All right, we drew another land, which is not good. I was hoping that we would mill like a Tassiger or something like that, and then we could use our Snapcaster Mage to, or use our Culligan's Command to rebuy it. It doesn't look like that's going to be the case here. Opponent has 4 cards in hand. Get rid of that Polluted Delta again. Opponent bolts the Snapcaster Mage. Okay. All right, there's a Field of Ruin. I mean, I guess that's something, so we'll play it. But yeah, our hand is not. Oh, I guess we should have. We probably should have used the K command to get back the Snapcaster Mage. That was probably just not smart on my part. We will play a Steam Vents. Huh. Yes, tapped. Yeah, because keeping our life total above 19 is good. Or above 18 is good for Escape Shift math. All right, we will exile the Logic Knot from our graveyard. That's fine. Okay, the opponent only has 2 cards in their hand, which is good. We can make our opponent utilize the Relic by making our opponent discard and trying to return the Snapcaster Mage to our hand, which would hopefully free us from... So, return target creature from target player discards a card. So return that, you discard. This just uses our mana and hopes that we draw something good. So our opponent will now have to crack the Relic, and then they'll discard a card from their hand. Oh, no, it's fine. Okay, so our opponent just lets it happen. Interesting. All right, we drew another Snapcaster Mage. We'll see what our opponent does here, but they only have 1 card in hand. And hopefully, at the end of the turn, they crack their Relic, and if they do, we can Snapcaster Culligan's Command in response. Nope, they don't. All right, so our opponent might have just been able to outplay us here. If they have a big threat here, we don't really have a good answer to it. Opponent wants us to exile something. I think we might as well just go for it now. Make our opponent use a mana if they want to prevent us from using the Culligan's Command. Okay, it appears they're fine with it. So we'll have you discard and deal 2 damage to you. Red, black. Why'd they choose to do it then? I don't understand that at all. That was really strange. Oh, sweet. All right, and they don't have a follow-up? Wow. All right, we'll bolt our opponent here at the end of the turn. Ooh, P and Kira Nalar. All right. Red to red. Play P and Kira Nalar. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the scape shift math doesn't matter. We're just dead to scape shift either way. We'll just shock that in case we feel like we need to Field of Ruin something. Get in at our opponent for 2 here and make our opponent draw something. All right. So next turn we can deal 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then throw a Thopter 7, 8, 9, 10. So if we draw a red source, I think we win. Oh no, I should have fielded. If we Field of Ruined our opponent last turn, I think we had lethal. Oh boy. All right, so we can do 2, 4. So 1, 2. So yeah, darn it. I think if we Field of Ruined our opponent and got another red source last turn, then we would have been able to go snap. Oh no, we still wouldn't have had enough mana. We would have needed 2 more mana in order to do it. Okay, so I think we're best off just passing here. I don't think Nicol Bolas does anything here. I mean, I guess it doesn't hurt, right? Like, I don't know what our opponent could have, but I guess we might as well cast it. Did our opponent top deck? Yay! All right, we're 1-0 with Nicol Bolas. All right, we've won the die roll, so we will go first. This hand is certainly fine. It's not great. We're going to be very reliant on this Field of Ruin to fix our mana. And then I'm unsure whether or not we want a black land or a blue land here. I guess we could also get red-black. That seems so bad, though. We'll see what our opponent's playing. If it's blue-white control, we're just going to get blue-white. Oh, it's spirits. Eesh. All right, I think we're going to start off with blue-black. No, we'll start off with blue-red here. Nah, I changed my mind. We're going to start with blue-black. We're just going to Fatal Push this now. This matchup is horrendous. All right, there's a Tassiger, so that's a real card. We'll Logic Knot something, hopefully, here for 1, and then we can Field of Ruin to get a red source and then bolt something. Okay, our opponent probably has Rattle Chains, which is fine. There's a Watery Grave. All right, I think we're still going to play the Field of Ruin here. Our opponent will probably end-step Rattle Chains here, and we will most likely just Logic Knot it, counter it unless they pay 1. Yep, because this will let our opponent play at instant speed, which is bad, so we're just going to counter it and add cards to our graveyard. So now our opponent at least has to play it at sorcery speed, what they want to do. And it doesn't appear they have very much. They might have another Rattle Chains here, but that's not super scary. So we can get a red source, play Watery Grave, play Tasigur this turn. Or actually, we can just play Island, get a red source, play Tasigur this turn. Yeah, I like that better. That saves us 2 damage. Okay, and then we'll move to second main phase, so opponent can't cast a path this turn. And we'll cast the Tasigur. Perfect. So if the opponent has a path, at least they have to do it now. Our opponent looks like they have Collected Company. And we'll just attack into a Collected Company. Not that scared of it. All right, and then we will just go ahead and Thought Scour ourselves now. If our opponent wants to counter a Thought Scour, that's fine. Okay, and we actually drew a Counter Squall, which is basically perfect. Do we need to shock that in? No, we do not. All right, and that we will Counter Squall. Sure. Opponent has a Supreme Phantom. That's not too scary either. It looks like they have another Collected Company here. All right, the fact that we only have one red source is really becoming a bother. I think we're still attacking, and if our opponent tries to leverage some blocks, no, it doesn't look like. Okay. So that's good. If our opponent casts Collected Company here, we're just going to bolt the Supreme Phantom in response. Just take some power off the table. All right, that's a good draw for us. The fact that our opponent drew a land there. And the opponent's going to 4, which means they need to chump block the Tasigur or have an answer to it. Okay. So far our opponent can just run a Supreme Phantom, but now they're just pumping their team. Okay. So they're certainly not playing around us having removal spells for Drogskull Captain. See what they attack with here. Okay. We are just going to activate. They're out of cards and stuff, so we're just going to activate the Tasigur here. We really want to get a red source. Opponent will probably just give us Thought Scour here. No, Counter Squall. Okay. So our opponent will hit us for 6. We'd really like a red source here. No, Tasigur is one of the worst draws. Yeah, I can't really see a reason to not just main deck or main phase this. All right, 3, 5. So we still can't attack through with the Tasigur, but we have some insurance here with the Counter Squall that our opponent knows about. Okay, that's fine. All right, we still need like a Cryptic Command or something like that would be perfect. Oh, actually, this thing's a 4/4 now. Jeez. All right. Snapcaster Mage. So we can Snapcaster Bolt. Snapcaster Thought Scour. I don't really think any of those do anything. All right, so what kind of outs do we actually have here? If we attack, our opponent will just block with the Phantom. I think we're just dead. So we terminate here. Our opponent sacrifices that. Then we still have to beat a 4/6, which we can't. 2 4/6s in the air. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're just dead here. Because our opponent can counter anything with the Mausoleum Wanderer and then block and attack back for the win. All right. All right, so in this matchup, I like Anger of the Gods. I like Pia and Kira Nalar. I like Damnation. I like Is It Staticaster, although it's not great. It's probably fine. And Dispel for the paths as well as the collected companies. Cards that I'm not a huge fan of are, I think Counter Squall's is a little too expensive. Cryptic Command seems very poor with the way that our opponent's deck is built. They have Spell Quellers and stuff. Yeah, we have a lot of cards that want to come out, and none of these cards are particularly good either way. Same with Kolaghan's Command. 2 damage is not really enough to kill a lot of the stuff that we really care about, and our opponent can just counter it easy. Search for Ascanta, same kind of deal. Even Tassiger didn't seem all that great. Nicol Bolas, I think, is great, though. Maybe cut an Inquisition because the opponent's playing off the top of their deck a lot. So maybe like these 7 for those 7. And we'll submit like that. Oh boy, this hand's awkward. So this hand really needs another land. I don't think we can keep it. So let's see. If we play Steam Vents tap turn 1, if we draw Black Source on turn 2, the hand's great. If we don't draw a Black Source on turn 2, it's very bad. So I think we have to mulligan it. Yeah, this hand I think is significantly more reasonable with the Scry. Spell Snare. Wow, that's one of the few cards I would consider leaving on top. I don't think we can, though. I think we really just need more lands. Just going to play that tapped. We're not sure what our opponent's going to do turn 1. If they play a Vial and we left up Lightning Bolt, that would look real bad. Yeah, like that. All right, we drew an island, which is good. We still need a Black Source, but we can get that off of the Field of Ruin at least. Okay, that's fine. I think we're just going to utilize our mana here, and we're just going to bolt it. This is actually one of the better cards against us. All right, there's a Thought Scour. If we hit a Black Source, this is really good for us. So we'll try to do it, and we'll see what happens. Okay, no, we just hit another Red Source. I think we'll just go ahead and play that tapped. That's fine. And then next turn, we can use the Field of Ruin to get a Black Source and then cast a Tassiger. All right, so the opponent most likely has a Spell Queller here. I think, once again, I like just using this Thought Scour as bait if our opponent wants to Spell Queller it. No. All right, the reason why I'm not going to Field of Ruin our opponent, get a Swamp, and then that is because we're literally ramping them at that point into Collected Company. So I think I'm just going to play the Creeping Tar Pit and pass. It feels really bad, but I don't want them to be able to cast Collected Company here. If they just want to cast a like a Rattle Chains or something like that, I guess I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, okay, so there's the Spell Queller. I was hoping they would just use the Thought Scour, or Spell Queller the Thought Scour, and then we could use the Field of Ruin and do the play that we wanted to, but it didn't work out that way. This is just a really tough matchup. Everything that our opponent's doing is really good against what we're trying to do. All right, so we'll take some damage off the Spell Queller. All right, there's an Anger of the Gods. That might be good later. We'll start off, I believe, with the Field of Ruin. And then we will attempt to cast Tasigur with the ability to Fatal Push still up. So we'll go ahead and get rid of Thought Scour. We might want a Bolas back, so we'll exile one Bolas, pay these two. So we need to delve 2 away still. We have a Terminate in hand, so we'll get rid of that, I guess, and the Thought Scour. I'm guessing the opponent still has another Spell Queller in hand, which is why they are... If they flash one in at the end of the turn, we'll probably Fatal Push one. Yes, okay, so we'll just go ahead here, and we will get rid of their second white source, I guess. Get a Swamp, and then we're just going to push one of the Spell Quellers right now. We just want to get stuff off the table as quick as possible. Make our opponent overcommit to this Anger of the Gods. Okay, perfect. So there's a Drog Skull Captain. This is a good spot to try to use this Anger of the Gods now. Oh, perfect. Anger of the Gods with Search for Ascantus. Perfect. We will begin by attacking. All right, good. And we'll play the Search for Ascanta. Wow, okay, so our opponent has 6 mana, which is probably a Collected Company, so maybe we actually want to keep that card. Boy. No, let's put that in the graveyard. There's Snapcaster Mage. Okay, so that's perfect. So we got to flip it and still have Terminate Snapcaster Dispel up. Okay, so now we will go ahead and cast the Snapcaster. We will target Dispel. And dispel that. That's fine. All right, and then we'll just go ahead and kill it now if our opponent has like a Spell Queller or something like that. We're fine with it. Okay, cool. All right, so we're moving to the last game, third game. Do we want to change anything up? With the way that that game played out, our opponent didn't have any way to accelerate. They didn't have any vials. And I guess sometimes the Collected Company version doesn't play vials, and it probably doesn't. So they have collected companies and no vials. So does that really change how we want to play? I guess the Inquisitions are better because of that, because our opponent's on the slower side. And maybe like Nicol Bolas is too slow. Something like that. All right, this hand's got multiple ways to interact with a spirit from our opponent, so I like that. Okay, the opponent just plays Mausoleum Wanderer, which is fine with us. We will just go ahead and bolt it now. I believe is probably our best bet. Go ahead and get Steam Vents. I like getting these off the table first because it makes everything else a lot easier for us. We don't want our opponent to have choices as to whether or not they'll be able to counter something. So I really like just going for the safer play. Okay, and our opponent's got a Rattle Chains here. I think we're just going to go ahead and bolt the Rattle Chains. We just want to utilize our mana here, not get our removal spells spell quellered. Next turn we can snap bolt something if our opponent plays something in instant speed or at sorcery speed. Yeah, like a Selfless Spirit. So then we can just go ahead and snap bolt it. And I think we'll just go ahead once again and do that at sorcery speed. Just want to utilize all our removal and make our opponent's lords a lot worse, because it's hard for us to interact with our opponent once they get their lords out on the battlefield. I think I'd rather just kill all their cheap stuff, and especially that one is particularly good against us. So now it looks like our opponent probably has... Nope, they don't even have Collected Company. Good for us. All right, so they probably have Spell Queller then. So we'll start off by Thought Scouring ourselves, see if our opponent wants to interact with that. Looks like they do. That's fine. There's certainly worse things that could have happened than that. We will continue to try to Thought Scour ourselves, and then we'll probably just play this Tasigur. Yep, that's what it looks like is going to happen here. Take 2 from that. We'll go black. And we'll get rid of the lands and the Thought Scour. And we cannot attack, so we will just pass. Sure. So we're down to 12 here, and our opponent just passes. Draw Field of Ruin, which is not a great draw. We can activate Tasigur and hopefully get back the Lightning Bolt. So I think for that reason, I'm going to play the Island this turn. And we'll attack with the Tasigur, I guess. If our opponent has a Spell Queller or a... yeah, it doesn't look like they do. I was going to say a Collected Company here and wants to try to fight over this. That's fine. Okay, opponent's got a Rattle Chains. That's fine. I think with that trigger on the stack, we're going to activate Tasigur. Because if we get Bolt back... Okay, so we get Bolt or a Terminate back, which is good. So next turn, we know for sure that we'll have the ability to terminate something. Our opponent will attack us for 4 here, or just 3, I guess. Okay. Our opponent just has 1 card in hand. If it's a Spell Queller, that's a problem. Dispel is very good if it's not a Spell Queller, though. All right, and we do want to play a land here. I think we'll just play the Tar Pit. And then we'll, during our opponent's upkeep, we'll Okay, so our opponent does have a spell. It's a Selfless Spirit. All right, so we're just going to terminate this now then. Target ourself. All right, there's a Snapcaster Mage. That doesn't do that much, though. All right, and then we will Field of Ruin out at opponent's source so we can get another red. This is a little bit risky if our opponent has a collected company, but it doesn't. They haven't had one all game, and that would have been a very lucky draw if they had one there suddenly. All right, so if we Snapcaster Bolt the Selfless Spirit, we can then still hold up a Tasigur activation. So I think we'll go ahead and do that. And I think we're gonna bolt the Rattle Chains here, because that's what's allowing our opponent to cast things at instant speed. Okay, so that's fine. And then we're just going to attack with the Tasigur. And if our opponent wants to block with the Selfless Spirit or something like that, that's fine. Okay, they're just going to take it. Interesting. All right, so then we'll activate Tasigur here. They're going to give us back a Logic Knot. Interesting. Okay. So we'll play Field of Ruin. We're going to activate a Creeping Tar Pit and I think attack with everyone and make our opponent beat Logic Knot plus Dispel. And that's it. All right, great. So we have won the match and we're still undefeated. And I'll see you guys at the beginning of round 3. All right, everyone, welcome to round number 3. I'm going to keep this hand based on the fact that we have mana to cast all of our spells. We just need the spells now. And it turns out that we actually kept a pretty good hand against Tron. And it's getting a little bit better. Not much better, but a little bit better. So we're going to get a black source here with this, and then probably just play Sulphur Falls. But yeah, we need some more interaction here. Red's not super important in this matchup, like actually at all. So we will get tapped black source. All right, and then we'll play Sulphur Falls. The next turn, we'll hopefully play Creeping Tar Pit and draw Logic Knot would be ideal, I guess. Oh, good. Our opponent... Wait, why did our opponent do that? They don't even know what they were going to draw this turn off of the thing. Expedition map. We're just going to hope that our opponent doesn't... I don't know. Our opponent should have cracked this first, I think, and then seen if they draw the Tron land. Okay. All right, so now we can use our Field of Ruin this turn. Oh, we drew Search First Content too. Oof. All right. So they played this first and that one second. So I think during their because they have the maps or the rocks here, we're just going to go ahead and do it now. Okay, so the opponent just cycles through. They haven't cast any spells yet. That's fine. Our opponent's no closer to assembling Tron than they were the last turn. Perfect. And their land drop for the turn isn't even a Tron land. This is great. All right, there's a Cryptic Command. I think here... We can Cryptic Command, bounce one of their lands at the end of the turn and draw a card. Or we can try to set up a Search for Escanto, or we can set up a Snap Counters. Yeah. All right, I think here I like just playing the Swamp and passing. I do want to try to start pressuring our opponent, so I think our number one play here would be Snapcaster into Counter Squall, which will put opponent down to 16, and then we can start beating them down with that, and then hopefully the Creeping Tar Pit in a couple of turns, and hold up Cryptic Command for the next turn. Yeah, so Ancient Stirrings. So we'll just go ahead and Snapcaster Counter Squall the Ancient Stirrings. Okay, our opponent has main deck Spatial Contortion. That's fine. Oh, we drew another Field of Ruin. All right, so we can Field of Ruin plus Escanta here. I think I like that. Just keep our opponent way off of Tron and set us closer to flipping Escanta. Ooh, Relic is good. Main deck Relic. Tron doesn't play main deck Relic very often anymore. It's very good, though. A little bit less confident in our ability to win here, because we're not going to be able to use our K commands to get back Snapcasters and loop them as well as our opponent has this Relic. All right, we'll put anything that's, yeah, like that's going in the graveyard. Another Cryptic Command. All right. Our goal here is to try to get up to 7 cards and make our opponent use the Relic aggressively to get rid of our... Okay, so our opponent missed their land drop for the turn. I think here I like returning the Power Plant to our opponent's hand and drawing a card. I want to just use our mana and continue to put pressure on our opponent's Relic. Okay, there's K command. Snapcaster Mage. Oh boy. No, I don't think we want to put that in the graveyard, though. That's one of the few that we were not going to put in. All right, we'll shock in the Blood Crypt and pass the turn, I think. See if our opponent cracks the Relic here. Nope. All right, Sylvan Scrying, we are going to counter that and draw a card. All right, and now we will bolt our opponent. Okay, perfect. So now we've forced our opponent to crack the Relic, which is kind of perfect. Nicol Bolas, that's a real threat. We are not going to put that in the graveyard. Wow. All right, so that's actually really good here. Just play the Nicol Bolas, make our opponent discard. And then we can snap bolt our opponent at the end of the turn. And actually attack our opponent for 9 damage next turn, if we wanted to. Oh, with the K command, I think they're probably just dead. Let's see what they have here. Ooh, they do have a worm coil engine. Okay. So we will still go ahead and snap bolt our opponent. Field of Ruin in our graveyard. No, I think we'd like to draw that one. And we can just use it main phase here to take out our opponent's tower. Yeah. Get an island here. All right, drop our opponent down to 6 here. Our opponent can attack us back for 6, which would put him up to 12, and then we can... So I guess we do have to shatter our opponent's... I guess this could end badly for us if our opponent has exactly land Karn. 4, 5, 6. All right, so at the beginning of combat, we're going to return target permanent to the owner's hand and draw a card. Okay, cool. So that works. We'll see what our opponent has. Okay, they play the Worm Coil Engine again. That's fine. Put Tasker in the graveyard. Yes. Here we will shock in the Watery Grave. We will make our opponent use the Ghost Quarter here. And then we'll just kill our opponent with this K command. All right, so then with that, we're going to turn target creature, deal 2 damage. Perfect. All right, move on to game number 2. All right, so in this matchup, I love Alpine Moon. Alpine Moon's great. Love Disdainful Stroke. We're going to get to try to use these Infernal Reckonings, which I'm excited about. And P and Kira Nalar is at least a clock, so we'll bring those in. Fatal Push is very bad. Honestly, Terminate's not very good either. I like having a clock. So we got 4 cards that we definitely want to take out. Bolts are just reach, so maybe we can go down to 2 of them because we have a bunch of threats in this deck. Yeah, like I'd rather have like a P and Kira Nalar usually than a bolt. I think just 2 bolts is fine. A Spell Snare it looks really poor, but it's actually amazing against Sylvan Scrying, which is one of the best ways for us to keep them off of Tron. And yeah, I can't see anything else here that I really like. So I guess we'll just submit like that. All right, multiple Search for Azkantas, but we do have Thought Scour, Logic Knot. I think I like this, so we'll keep it. Opponent's mulliganing to 5, which is great news for us. This hand will let us flip a Search for Azkanta very quickly, which is kind of the goal. All right, never mind. All right, there's a Cryptic Command, which is a good draw. All right, there's Sylvan Scrying. Okay, so the opponent is going to get to find another Tron land, but on the positive side, they're still very far away from assembling Tron, at least 2 turns. All right. So we have 4 cards in our graveyard here. I think I like just slamming a Search for Azcanta here and trying to hit more land drops. Sure, our opponent's making his exile Steam Vents. That's fine. All right, there's a Scalding Tarn, which is good. So we'll definitely be able to hit more land drops now. Just get our other Steam Vents before it accidentally gets milled. And we'll just slam a Search for Azcanta here, which will hopefully allow us to maintain enough food in our graveyard to use the Logic Knot effectively. All right, so our opponent currently has a tower, and now they found a power plant. So that's not great for us. So they are going to be on Tron, so now we need to find some Field of Ruins. So they'll have Tron next turn. Put Thought Scour in the graveyard. Yes. All right, there's a Counter Squall. So that's a real card. At the end of the turn, we can Snapcaster or Thought Scour ourselves if our opponent doesn't cast anything. All right, so our opponent has 8 mana, which is a lot of mana. Oh no, is this one of the... This is going to be the thing that blows up a land. Yeah, damn it. All right, and we will get another Watery Grave. We'll play it tapped, though, because we don't need that. And then we will go ahead and counter it unless our opponent pays 2. Okay, and we're getting exiled. Opponent has another Relic. So they're definitely going to get to go to a town on our graveyard here. We'll get rid of the Logic Knot because I don't think we're going to cast that. So we need a land here. I guess that's a land. So we have Counter Squall up. Opponent can return the World Breaker by sacrificing a forest. But we're not in very good shape here. Ooh, Sanctum of Ugin's really bad for us. Wow. Okay, we will exile the Tasigur. All right, and the Thought Scour. And I think at this point, we are not going to be able to leverage the Snapcaster Mage at all, so I think we'll just flash it in. Start getting the beat down on with it. Put Cake Man in the graveyard. Yeah, we need lands. All right, there's an Inquisition, so I guess we can cast that. See what our opponent's got going on. Nope, just Mine and Ghost Quarter. Okay. So I think the opponent is probably going to... oh, the opponent lost their thing. They exiled their World Breaker. That doesn't seem super smart on our opponent's part. Huh. Okay, so the opponent exiles the other Relic. All right, so now our Search for Azcanta is free again. All right, so that was their draw for the turn. And that is a free draw for them. So it's just like a cycle. Do I want to counter a cycle? We know that they still have mine, Ghost Quarter in hand. Oh, plus the free card. Okay, so no. We'll just let that resolve then. They drew one more card. I was going to say, like, should we just use our mana here? And I think we will use our mana if our opponent plays like a something else. All right, so we knew that they have the mine there. Oblivion Stone. Yeah, that's something we'll counter. Sure. Oh, that one needs to be black. Black. Blue. So we know they have Ghost Quarter in hand, and that's it. All right, come on, land. That's not a land. All right, that is a land. Good. All right, so now we have Cryptic Command up, which makes me a little bit happier. If our opponent casts something big, we can counter it and bounce the Sanctum of Ugin with the trigger on the stack, so that way they can't sacrifice it to find another threat. All right, so there's the Ghost Quarter. We knew that they had that. All right, so that's what we're going to do here. We are going to counter this, return the Sanctum to the owner's hand. So that way they cannot sacrifice the Sanctum. And they already played a land for the turn, so they can't even play it again this turn. Blood Crypt into the graveyard. Yes. All right, there's an island. All right, so we're fading big threats from the opponent is basically what's happening here. Relic, that's fine. We're not currently utilizing our graveyard. Our opponent needs to draw threats. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so our opponent just exiles it immediately. Plays the Sanctum and passes. Okay, so we still are going to hold up the Cryptic Command to do the same play. If our opponent finds another threat, we'll bounce the Sanctum. Put Polluted Delta in the graveyard. Yes. All right, there's a bolt. That'll shorten the clock by a full turn. And if we find another Snapcaster Mage, by more than a turn. Our opponent has the Ghost Quarter, so I'm not attacking with a Creeping Tar Pit. Wormcoil Engine. That does not actually do the Sanctum, so we're just going to counter this and draw a card. All right, perfect. And there's a Thought Scour, which is great. It'll fill our graveyard. All right, we're still looking to fade a couple of draws here. So that can take our opponent off of Tron. So then our opponent will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana. Can we beat an Ugin? I guess we can beat an Ugin, right? Oh, it'll even be 7 if we attack with the Creeping Tar Pit. So maybe that's what we should do is attack with the Creeping Tar Pit. Our opponent will use the Ghost Quarter, and then we can take them off of Tron. So no. We'll draw that. Okay, then we'll activate the Tar Pit. And if our opponent doesn't use the Ghost Quarter here, that's fine also. Okay, so sure, our opponent uses the Ghost Quarter, which is fine. We expected them to. We will get a island. And then we'll use this Field of Ruin and get rid of the tower, I guess. Doesn't really matter. All right, so now our opponent only has 7 mana, so they don't actually have 8 mana, which is, I mean, it's reasonable. It was a little bit of a risky play, but I think it hopefully paid off. Okay, good. So our opponent still doesn't have anything. They can't cast Ulamog, which is what I'm worried about. Nicol Bolas, no. I think we'd love to draw that. We'd love to transform Azcanta also. We'll play the Scalding Tarn, fetch with the Scalding Tarn, get our last island. 2 black, red, cast the Nicol Bolas, hopefully discard our opponent's last card that's good. Oh, it's just a forest, okay. And then we'll attack our opponent here, and our opponent will be dead next turn, unless they can top deck a very good threat. It would have to be like Ugin. All right, and we're 3-0. We beat 2 very bad matchups. We beat Valakut and we beat Tron without any of our sideboard cards, which is pretty impressive. I'll see you guys at the beginning of round 4. All right, everyone, welcome back for round number 4. We're currently undefeated. This hand is very good. I always like playing Polluted Delta with the Spell Snare first, just in case our opponent does something, you know, crazy, like has a crazy affinity start or something like that. I didn't want to just play the Watery Grave tapped, because there's a chance that we would lose our only time where we could play our spell. All right, so we'll get Steam Vents here. Most likely the opponent is playing Hollow One, and I think because of that, I'm just going to leave up the Spell Snare. Our opponent's probably relying on Goblin Lore here. If our opponent's on Mardu and plays a Mardu Pyromancer, we also wanted a Spell Snare there. So I think I'm happy with leaving up Spell Snare here. It does not appear that our opponent's playing either of those decks. They might be playing Jund. Yep, and we will just go ahead and Spell Snare that, which is almost exactly why we did that. All right, perfect. And then our hand worked out almost perfectly where we can then play a tap land into a Search for Azcanta. Okay, there's Bob. That's fine. It's a good card. It's a very good card against us. We can play a Nicol Bolas and make our opponent put Inquisition into your graveyard. No, I think we'd actually like to draw that, because that way we can play Tasigur here. Let's go ahead and Inquisition our opponent. We will take the Dreadbore and then play a Field of Ruin and then just cast a Tasigur. And then next turn we can, all right, so our opponent reveals another land, which is not good in the matchup. We can play a Nicol Bolas next turn. Sure. Field of Ruin into the graveyard. Yes. All right, there's a Scalding Tarn, which isn't particularly better, but it's a card. I guess we should attack with the Tasigur first, because if the opponent did draw a removal spell, we'd rather them kill the Tasigur, I guess, than the Nicol Bolas. All right, and they do not. All right, and this is a real clock on the opponent. They'll just discard one of their like infinite lands they have. That's fine. It's just the fact that we now have 2 threats that are very solid against our opponent. And another land off of the Bob. So our opponent has 2 cards that we don't know about, and discarded this one and played that one. Oh, wait, no, they played that one. Okay, so we know that I guess they have Verdant Catacombs. We still Stomping Ground and a Fatal Push. So now they can Fatal Push the Nicol Bolas. Yep, that's fine. We'll just go again to Red Source here. Okay. Opponent, we're going to return the Scavenging Ooze, make us discard the Snapcaster Mage. It's a good play from our opponent. Couldn't really play around it either. Sure. All right, so that's dead. Okay, opponent's just getting in there with the Dark Confidant, which is fine. Put Cryptic Command into the graveyard. No, we'd like to draw that one. And we'd like to attack our opponent. All right, opponent has an Inquisition, which is not good, but they will know our hand now. All right, so we dropped to 14 here. Sure. Opponent's got the Inquisition. We're definitely just going to utilize our mana, I would say. So if our opponent casts a spell here, we'll... No, okay, so our opponent's not going to... we will just bounce, I guess, the Snapcaster Mage. Or the Dark Confidant. Okay, and we drew a bolt. So we will, I think, just go ahead and bolt our opponent here. Because now we can flip our Search for Azcanta. Yes, we'd love to put that in the graveyard. We would love to transform the Search for Azcanta. Cool, we drew another Field of Ruin, which is perfect. We will enter combat and attack. See what our opponent has here. Oh, okay, they're just going to activate the Raging Ravine. We will kill the Raging Ravine. And we'll go ahead and get an island here. And drop our opponent to 1. Then most likely our opponent will cast a Scavenging Ooze and try to gain some life, and hopefully we'll be able to find a bolt with the Azcanta off of that. All right, so how many creatures are there in the graveyard? There are 2 creatures in the graveyard. Okay, so that's fine. They only have 1 green source also. And we whiff with the Azcanta. That's not good. Whiffing with Azcanta is always a real awkward play. All right, so we drew another Search for Azcanta, which is going to let us filter a little bit. I don't know if we should activate the Creeping Tar Pit. I don't think we should, because if our opponent has a removal spell like a Fatal Push, that's not good for us. They might have Bolt here plus block with the Ooze. Okay, so our opponent eats our Snapcaster Mage. That's fine. Okay, and they do have a Bolt, so we will look at the top cards of our library in response there. And we have Counter Squall, which is pretty much perfect. Put them in any order, and then we will Counter Squall this. Perfect. All right, so in this matchup, I like 1 Damnation, I think, because the opponent could have a lot of little small guys. I don't like Anger, because Goyf is hard to kill with that. I like P and Kieran Alar and Nile Spellbombs are good. Cards that are not as good, I don't like relying on Counter Squall. Like there it was fine, but I don't like it in general. I don't like Inquisitions either. Our opponent has Hand Disruption, and we don't really want to fight their Hand Disruption like that. So I think I'm just going to cut 1 Nile Spellbomb, or bring in 1 Nile Spellbomb and bring in these 3 and cut those and submit like that. All right, what does this hand do? Not very much, but our opponent mulligan, so we'll keep. We're just going to try to outvalue our opponent. All right, removal spell would be great. There's a bolt. That's perfect. We'll play Polluted Delta here. I want to try to fill our graveyard as fast as possible. Okay, we have the awkward Goyf that we can actually kill with a lightning bolt. So we'll just go ahead and get a Steam Vents here. If our opponent has... No, even if they had Surgical, it wouldn't do anything. All right, because we drew Spell Snare, I'm going to play the Mountain, I believe, here. And just bolt that. I guess we could have just played the Island and done that, but I want to make our opponent seem like we just don't have much going on. Okay, our opponent Thought Seizes us. That's fine. They'll probably take the Spell Snare because they have a 2-mana threat here. Yeah, every time you have the opportunity to bolt a Goyf, you're going to take it. Took the Snapcaster Mage. So then they're just going to pass because they don't want to play their 2-mana spell into our Spell Snare. All right, here's the Field of Ruin. I kind of like actually just doing that. This is all our opponent's double black source. This is our red source. I don't know which one. I think we'll just take them off of... Because a lot of the decks don't even play red. So we'll just go ahead and do it now and get an island. Okay, they do play red in their deck. All right, so now their mana is very awkward, which is why I want to do that. And they still know we have the Spell Snare, and we weren't doing anything else with our hand, our turn. So pretty happy about that. Okay, there's another Raging Ravine. Okay, they have a Fulminator Mage. That's fine. If they want to take us off lands, we have like literal infinite lands in our deck. So fine with that. All right, there's a Snapcaster Mage. We can Snapcaster Bolt something. So I think we'll just play the Island and pass. Our opponent knows we have Cryptic Command, so they'll probably have to use this Fulminator Mage at the end of the turn. Yeah, that's fine. Fulminator Mage is very poor when we have hands like this, which is just all lands and nothing to do with our mana. Yep, okay, we'll let the Thoughtseize resolve. That's fine. I think we're favored in a long game anyway. Opponent will probably have to take the Snapcaster Mage here. They definitely have a 2-mana play that they've been trying to make for a long time. Like they probably have a Bob in their hand or something like that. It's one of their 2 cards. All right, Scalding Tarn. We're just going to play the Watery Grave. We'll shock it in because we want to at least represent to our opponent that we will cast this Cryptic Command, even though whatever our opponent casts is most likely going to be bait. If our opponent plays land and then attacks with the Raging Ravine, okay, so there's a Bloodbraid Elf into Fulminator Mage. Well, we're fine with the Fulminator Mage. We'll probably counter the Bloodbraid Elf and draw a card, though. Just want to use our mana. Our opponent knows about this anyway. All right, cool. So if our opponent wants to destroy a land with the Fulminator Mage, we're cool with that. All right, and there's another Cryptic Command. We'll just play this Scalding Tarn and pass the turn. Yeah, and see now the Fulminator Mage is just a 2/2 here. Because of the way that we've played our lands and such. Just drawing infinite lands and not really having anything to do with it makes Fulminator Mage very poor. We'll just go ahead and get a blue-black land. Sure. Opponent does know that we have more lands. I'm not really sure why they're not just attacking us with the Fulminator Mages, because the Fulminator Mage does represent like a real clock. But we just keep drawing lands, and we'll just keep passing the turn and seeing what our opponent does. We have a Bolt for the Raging Ravine. If our opponent goes for K command, we're definitely going to Cryptic it. I think in order to do everything that we want here, we actually have to get the Steam Vents so that we can counter this and draw a card and still hold up Bolt Spell Snare. And I want to do it now so our opponent can't do something in response to us fetching for it during their turn. Because if our opponent plays a land, I don't want them to be able to... I don't even know what they would have, I guess. So maybe we took 2 extra points of damage there for nothing, but I'm happy with the outcome here. If this is another K command, sure. Yep, opponent's got it. We will discard this Blood Crypt that our opponent knew about from forever ago. All right, so our opponent's going to get value off of the Blood Braid, which is pretty good for them. All right, there's a Snapcaster Mage. So we will play that Scalding Tarn there and pass. Nihil Spellbomb. Okay. I guess that's fine. All right, so our opponent's in no rush, which is probably the correct play for them. Just go ahead and use the Scalding Tarn. I just want to get our lands so that we don't draw them here. All right, we do another Bolt, which is good that we have double red. Our opponent on end step here will probably crack the Nihil Spellbomb. No? Okay. We know they have... Okay, so Bloodbraid Elf into Scavenging Ooze. Okay, so we'll Spell Snare the Ooze, I guess, and Bolt the Bloodbraid. Or we can attempt a Snapcaster. Yeah, I like that. So when the opponent attacks, we will cast the Snapcaster Mage and target the Bolt. If our opponent wants to use the Nihil Spellbomb to blow up the whole graveyard, that's fine for no value. Okay, perfect. So the opponent is just going to blow up everything here. And they don't get to draw a card off of it. And then we'll just Bolt it. All right, there's Polluted Delta. We only have one more land in our deck that... Actually, we have two more lands in the deck that can get. So we'll just keep it in hand for now. Okay, so our opponent casts a Kolaghan's Command. Ooh, that's a big goif. Okay. Big goif. Ooh, and another big goif. Okay. All right, there's a K command. Yeah, that doesn't really do anything. All right. We'll need to chump block and hope to draw Damnation, I guess. That's our plan here. Good draw from our opponent, yeah. Well, I guess we could have K command and then bolt. So K command return 1, 2, 3, and then snapcaster block bolt the lily. Draw. If we drew exactly Damnation. No. All right. I guess we should bring in Liliana's Defeat. That was a little bit of an oversight on me. That's definitely a card that needs to come in this matchup. Maybe that Nihil Spellbomb's better than I think it is against our opponent. Yeah. Let's see what else we can cut. I don't think Thought Scour is great. I think we just want to draw cards. We don't really want to just randomly mill stuff. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe we should still have that in the deck. Yeah, a lot of this deck is really good against what our opponent's trying to do. I think maybe Bolt isn't as great as it seems. It's good against some of our opponent's threats, but not all of them. So maybe we'll cut a Bolt and a Bolt and a Thought Scour. Maybe we'll do that. Yeah, this hand's fine. Opponent mulligans again, which is good. Play a land, pass the turn. All right, and I think we're just going to play the Scalding Tarn here because I want to be able to use our mana efficiently if possible with a Terminate here. Possibly, depending on what our opponent plays. Like if it's a Goyf. Okay, Dark Confidant, I think we are fine not killing here. That could be wrong, though. So we'll get a Steam Vents. Just play that tapped. Liliana's Defeat. That's a good one. But that can destroy a Planeswalker, too. So I think here we're just going to go ahead and fetch basic. Make our opponent discard and deal that 2 damage. So then the hope here is that the opponent brought in Damnation. Why is the opponent bringing in Damnation? That's just wrong. Okay, there's a Goyf, which is why I didn't want to terminate anything else. So I think we'll just go ahead and main phase. Well, maybe we can even take a hit from it. And just play. I'm trying to think of what our opponent could play that would be really bad for us. Not that much. So I guess maybe we'll just do that and pass the turn. Ooh, another Goyf. Wow, that's good. All right, so we will destroy this Goyf. Then our opponent gets 4/5 and a 3/4, or 3/2. Oh boy, and we drew a Creeping Tar Pit. That's not very good. All right. So we need to draw. We need to draw some things now. We're definitely on the back foot. I think I'm okay here taking 7. It's a lot of damage, but I think we're okay with it. And then we can try to bounce the Goyf back to our opponent's hand if they cast something here. Fulminator Mage. Okay, so yeah, we will counter this, return this, and hope our opponent doesn't have a land. I think that's our plan. Yeah, okay, perfect. So it worked out. Ooh, Island's really bad too. All right, well, at least we can block the Bloodbraid Elf, or the Bloodbraid Elf. Yeah. And then our opponent will have to decide between revving up the Raging Ravine or casting the Goyf again. And our opponent has a removal spell for the Creeping Tar Pit. That's just, good for them. They're going to be able to use their mana effectively, and we will not. All right, so there's Goyf. Oh, and there's a Liliana. All right, so we will discard this Polluted Delta, I guess. Well, no, maybe that's wrong. We'll discard this island because we can fetch basic off of the Polluted Delta. All right, there's a Logic Knot. So we'll Liliana's defeat that. And then we'll throw the Creeping Tar Pit in front of a Raging Ravine and pass the turn, but we're in real bad shape. Yep. All right, so we will get our basic Swamp. Activate our Creeping Tar Pit. Throw our Tar Pit in front of the Tarmogoyf. And that's a Field of Ruin, which means we're dead. All right, see you guys in round 5. Hopefully we can bounce back for the 4-1. All right, everyone, welcome back to the 5th and final match. Wow, this is a hand. It's got lands, and it's got... This could be totally wrong, but I think I'm going to keep a hand that lets me Inquisition, Snap Inquisition. So Inquisition on 1, Inquisition on 3. We're also going to take a lot of damage off of our lands here. Hopefully our opponent's playing combo or something, or big mana. Okay, our opponent is playing some sort of Death Shadow or Hollow One shenanigans. Probably Hollow One. Could be Dredge also. No, it shouldn't be Dredge. Dredge doesn't really play Street Wraith. All right, we will get Watery Grave here. Go down to 17. And Inquisition our opponent. And, well, none of these cards are particularly good. I guess we'll take the Collective Brutality because our opponent was planning on using the Collective Brutality to discard the Flamewake Phoenix and the Bloodghast, maybe. So this will actually prevent our opponent from putting more cards in the graveyard, which is, I think, what I like doing here. So that's their hand. Most likely next turn they'll just cast a Bloodghast. All right, they drew a Street Wraith for the turn and a Bloodstained Mire, so we know that they're going to cast Bloodghast here, so we know that their hand is Flamewake Phoenix, Gurmag Angler, Lightning Bolt. So if they draw, they'll be able to cast the Gurmag Angler next turn, and we're in real bad shape. So we'll play, I guess, a Scalding Tarn here and pass. Hopefully our opponent does something like a Burning Inquiry or something first, I guess. Flameblade Adept. That's also really bad. Okay. So our opponent got the Flameblade Adept. And then they're going to delve away their graveyard. Wow. All right. I'm going to go ahead and get a basic island here, I believe. And just flash in a Snapcaster Mage because we're going to need blockers. We will take 2, though. All right, there's a Bolt. That's good. So we can play this, hold up Counter Squall still. I think I like that. All right, there's another Flameblade Adept, so we'll be able to snap Bolt it next turn. That we will just go ahead and Counter Squall. All right, and their last card in hand is a Flamewake Phoenix. All right, so we'll Bolt this thing, block that, go to 10. All right, there's an island, which isn't very good. I guess we'll play it, though, and we'll Snapcaster Bolt the Flameblade Adept here. And we're still looking for, like, Terminate would be ideal. Faithless Looting. Should we Snap Counter Squall that? Yeah, I think we should. So we'll Snap Counter Squall that instead. Because that would let them discard the Phoenix, so it'd be taking 2 more damage anyway. And we'll throw that in front of the zombie fish. All right, there's a Terminate, so that's very good. All right, so we'll let our opponent put the Flamewake Phoenix in their graveyard, I guess, and then we'll terminate the Angler. All right, and then we'll terminate the Angler. Black, red. And then next turn we can snap terminate. I think we need to use this Field of Ruin here at the end step. And get a red source. Or black source. Probably a red source. All right, there's a Cryptic Command. So we can use Cryptic Command to just tap down our opponent's team and buy us another turn. No, actually, I think I like going for the snap bolt on the Flameblade Adept, and yeah, I think I like that. And then blocking the Bloodcast and making our opponent have another land. Yeah, I'm going to block the Bloodghast, bolt the Flameblade Adept, and then our opponent will have to play another land to get the Bloodghast back. So we don't necessarily have to use a Let's survive Cryptic Command next turn. If our opponent has Bolt or something like that, we're just dead. But that's all right. And also, the Hollow One list recently have not been playing Blood Moon, so I don't believe I'm going to fetch around Blood Moon even in the post-board games. We might, do it just out of necessity, but not for our life total, but not to play around Blood Moon specifically. All right, we'll bolt that. Block there. Okay, and our opponent just kills us with Collective Brutality. That's fine. Yep. All right, moving to post-board games. Anger of the Gods is actually very good against what our opponent's doing. So is Damnation. I like bringing in some number of Infernal Reckonings because that beats their best starts, and same with the Nihil Spell Bombs. So maybe we're bringing in quite a few things. I don't think Nicol Bolas is very good. It doesn't block particularly well. Kolaghan's Command's a little slow. Counter Squall's not really great. These Logic Knots are usually really bad, too. We'll cut a Search for Azcanta because I don't know if we'll have time to set up for it. Spell Snare hits a limited number of targets, and Inquisition isn't great if our opponent is also playing Discard. So maybe we'll keep in the second Search for Azcanta and cut these. Submit like that. All right. Playing first. This hand cannot cast any of these spells, so we'll mulligan. This hand is also really bad, but I think we'll keep it. All right, we need a red source, so we're going to bottom an island. All right, there's a red source. It doesn't match well with the rest of the stuff we're trying to do, though, which is really awkward. We'll play the Search for Azcanta. It won't enter. It's going to enter tapped. We're just going to get down the Search for Azcanta and hopefully try to build up a little bit of a better hand. All right, the opponent drew a Faithless Looting off the top. So that was their draw for the turn because they would have cast it last turn. And it looks like they're a little mana flooded. They might have a Hollow One here. Let's draw an Infernal Reckoning off the top would be excellent. Okay. Field of Ruin into the graveyard. Yes, we already have one of them. All right, we drew a Polluted Delta, so we can get a red source off of that. So I guess we'll do it. Get Steam Vents, pay 2 life, and pass the turn. This way we can terminate plus Thought Scour ourselves. Sure. Terminate that. Okay, and the opponent Goblin Lores, discarding reasonable cards, like nothing great, but nothing bad. All right, opponent has a Hollow One. Let's try to draw a K command or something like that, or like I said, the same. All right, so there's a Snapcaster, so we can Snapcaster, terminate it. Yes, we'd love to transform it. Ooh, Infernal Reckoning, that's perfect. All right, so let's go ahead and do that now. Play this and pass the turn. Love Infernal Reckoning. Look at that. Opponent will probably flash back Faithless Looting here. Okay, Goblin Lore is fine. We actually don't have a response to that anyway. Opponent discards. Okay, so there's another Hollow One. We will just go ahead and snap Infernal Reckoning that, but I believe we want to use our mana here a little bit more effectively and draw off the Azcanta. Cryptic, Liliana's Defeat. I guess we'll just take a Cryptic command. All right, we drew another one, which isn't great. So maybe we're just going to take 4 here and hold up Cryptic command. I'm not in a huge rush to cast the Snapcaster Mage Infernal Reckoning because we're going to gain 4 back off of it. All right, we will take 4 here. Ooh, Burning Inquiry. All right, we will counter that and draw a card because our hand's great. If our opponent has another one, and then they just got us. This looks like a Collective Brutality. Yep. All right, so they're just going to take our Cryptic command, which is fine-ish. But next turn we'll be able to Snapcaster Infernal Reckoning this, plus be able to draw a card. So we'll just go ahead and play this Scalding Tarn now, fetch for a basic island, go ahead and Snapcaster Infernal Reckoning. Go up to 20 and pass the turn. So far we've exiled 2 hollow ones and gained 10 life or 8 life off of the Snapcaster Mage, which is a pretty good rate of return. Sure, our opponent has a big zombie fish and a Goblin Lore. All right, they still don't have anything to bring back. No Bloodghast, nothing like that in there, which is good for us. See, we can make our opponent's graveyard a little bit bigger, maybe. No, that's not how that works, I guess. All right, so at the end of the turn, we will go ahead and draw a card. We'll just get a Nihil Spellbomb. That sounds great. All right, there's another search for Azcanta. I think here we'll just start off by fetching for an island, play the Nihil Spellbomb, exile our opponent's graveyard so they can't cast their Faithless Looting again because they're going to definitely want to do that. All right, we drew a Field of Ruin, which isn't doing much. And I guess there's not really any reason to not cast another search for Azcanta. That'll help us filter our draw a little bit. And we'll pass the turn. Sure. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to just play everything out, is because I knew our opponent had discard in their hand, that they were basically just... Okay, so our opponent plays a Bloodghast. That's fine. Bloodghast cannot block, which is interesting to note. We'll just take this damage here. Any of these cards any good? I guess the Cryptic command's pretty good, so we'll take that. All right, search for Azcanta does its thing. We're not transforming this one. I think we just want to get the scry value off of it. We could also activate this search for Azcanta and then flip this one and then do the same thing, but I think we're all right with this. Putting Scalding Tarn in the graveyard sounds good. No, we'd not like to transform it. All right, we drew a Watery Grave, which is not a very good draw. Here, I think I like just putting our opponent on a clock here. So we'll play the Field of Ruin. We'll activate this Tar Pit. Attack our opponent with both of them. And then we can use a cryptic command to tap down our opponent's team. Let's just tap all the opponent's creatures and draw a card. All right, and then that resolves. All right, we still kept our Snapcaster Mage, so that's good. We'll be able to use that, hopefully, to win the game. All right, our opponent casts another Angler, which is fine. And we will, sure, put that in the graveyard. No on that. We'll just go ahead and Snapcaster Bolt our opponent. I want to do this main phase in case our opponent has like Surgical Extraction or something like that. And attack our opponent with the Tar Pit. Perfect. All right. Anything else sideboard? Cryptic Command is really not great on the draw. It was okay on the play there because we were able to utilize it the way we did, but I don't think I like that. Maybe we're going to cut 2 of them. We can bring back in like a Spell Snare for a Goblin Lore because that's really, really tempo positive if we can get it off. So maybe that and a Logic Knot or something like that for 2 cryptic commands. Just cards that interact a little bit better. All right, this hand is really bad. It's pretty rancid, actually. So is this hand. Wow. All right, this hand needs some stuff. It needs... There's the first thing it needs is a Watery Grave, so we'll keep it. All right, and we'll just play it tapped and pass the turn. Opponent is probably going to play Goblin Lore or something here. Nope, Faithless Looting. Okay. We have answers to Hollow One and to Gurmag Angler. All right, Bloodghast comes back. That's fine. All right, there's a Hollow One. All right, so we do have an answer to that. We will play the island and pass the turn. Hopefully our opponent plays around a counterspell or something, which we obviously don't have. We're just going to Infernal Reckoning the Hollow One. Sure. The next turn we can snap Infernal Reckoning another Hollow One. Opponent oh wow, our opponent had multiple ley lines. So that seems good for us. All right, we'll Reckoning that. Go to 22. All right, and they play Goblin Lore. All right, so we'll play the Polluted Delta because we do want to get a red source because we have red cards in our deck that we will want to cast at some point. All right, and our opponent is here just thinking. Collective Brutality. Taking something from our hand. Okay, that's fine. All right, they take the Cryptic Command, and they play a Flameblade Adept. All right, we're just going to go ahead and fetch here so we can get some F6 value in. We get a steam vents. Go down to 19 here. Opponent only has 1 card in hand, which is good. They have 2 Faithless Lootings, though. All right, Tar Pit. Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll play the Tar Pit. That's fine. Really looking for an Anger of the Gods here. All right, I'm fine with us just taking 5 here. Puts us to 14. Opponent has another Bloodghast. Okay. Let's find an Anger. There's Tasigur. All right, Tasigur is a good card. We can destroy that to get our second red source and then cast a Tasigur. All right, so then we'll go 1, 2, 3, something like that to play the Tasigur. And then our opponent's going to have a little bit of trouble attacking through it. Okay, Flamewake Phoenix. So we're still looking for an Anger. All right, there's a Bolt. So we can Bolt, Snap, Bolt. That actually sounds pretty good. So we'll pass the turn here. Make our opponent find lands. Okay, so there's a land. All right, so we're going to bolt that thing. And then we're going to Snapcaster, bolt the Flameblade Adept. And then we'll go to blocks and we'll block 2 of the Bloodghasts to make our opponent continue to make land drops. All right, there's a Field of Ruin. That doesn't terribly do too much, but it will let us activate the Tasigur this time. We can't attack because if our opponent hits a land, then we just lose. Opponent should have just cast that because it has Swamp Walk, but that's okay. That's also fine with us. All right, so they do get their land back. They have no cards in hand. We can block there. So we can activate Tar Pit to get another land, then block there, go to 3. Or we can go to 1. I think I like doing this. Do they have any cards in their graveyard that matter? No. So this makes it less likely that next turn they'll be able to find a land, and it's slightly more likely for us to not draw one. I guess we'll get a swamp here. All right, we drop to 3. We play Creeping Tar Pit and just hope our opponent can't find a land. I think that's our plan here. Once again, should have just cast it. No, they found the land. All right. Yep, we're just dead. All right, well, this was still a fun match for us. We just couldn't find our Anger of the Gods. We had 3 in the deck. We saw more than 20 cards and, just bricked a little bit. And, yeah, so our opponent will just give us like a Thought Scour or something here, or Infernal Reckoning even. Yep, just unfortunate. Yeah, there's the Infernal Reckoning. And we're dead. All right, so I think Grixis is relatively well positioned. Again, nothing amazing, but it's fine. Any final thoughts on the deck? I thought that the Infernal Reckoning was a good addition. Alpine Moon we didn't see, so I can't really discuss that. Nicol Bolas seemed very strong, but wasn't necessarily exactly what I think this deck needed. Maybe it should only be a one of. It was good when I needed to apply pressure against some of the more non-interactive decks that we played against, and really good if our opponent was bringing in Chalice. Our opponent brought in Chalice against us, or not Chalice, Relic against us, and we were just like, okay, we'll just fly over you. Like, that's what Nicol Bolas can do. We didn't transform Nicol Bolas. We didn't even get close to transforming him, but I still think that he might be good enough where playing one of him might be reasonable in Grixis control. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you'd like to see. Give comments and feedback on my play, and I'll see you guys next time with some more Modern.